Now, an hour of clarity for exhausted people of our nation mired in toxic partisanship. Left versus right, us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor.
Yeah, I keep coming up with other names, but I just keep coming back to the Freedom Variant.
It's classic, you know, like it keeps winning out. You know,
it's good. It's good. I love it.
Heck yeah! So we're live tonight. You know, Our intention is to do this on Thursdays most of the time. It just hasn't worked out the last couple times for whatever reason. So, you know, but Tim and I were like, you know, we need to do this. We need to do a show this week. We can't let 2 weeks in a row go by without.
Yeah, I miss it, man. I hope we get everybody that comes in and asks the questions and has the conversations. I love that. It's important. It's fun. We have a great show tonight. We got a lot of hot topics.
Yeah. Bunch of stuff that, you know, some stuff left over from previous weeks that I got a bunch of fake news just piled.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah, and then just a ton of stuff going on. Where do you want to start, Tim? We got urban camping, John Bolton, you know, doing sketchy stuff, and then like some sad, terrible stuff that we could talk about too.
I think the urban camping thing should wait till perhaps almost fake news. Okay, so. Like that might be might have to run it down as a test to see what people out there know about the reality of urban camping and the
urban camping.
I got a meme popping off on my page, and it's just always fun to talk about those things. This one's in particularly pretty funny. I think I guess I kind of like to talk about just how honest John Bolton can be. I admire the guy for his honesty.
Oh my goodness.
I admire it. I'm absolutely impressed with it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty incredible. You know, most people won't admit to, you know, playing a coup. You know, it's like it's not something you're supposed to do as, you know, part of the foreign policy establishment. And you know, you don't say that part out loud. Like everyone knows that's kind of what happens. Right?
I mean,
U.S. is getting a little involved in your elections, you know, a little bit involved in like suddenly the military like kicks out a left winger or whatever that they don't like.
With some really cool like military infrastructure that no one knows where it came from, stuff they've never had before. That's very effective for their style of fighting.
Suddenly, you know, CIA's over there with advisors and whatnot, and like, when did these American guys get here? All right.
His honesty, it knows no bounds. It was like, hey, Trump is too stupid to plan a coup, coming from a guy that knows how to plan a coup. Like that's God damn,
and then, like that, that's kind of how it was. And I do have the video. I might just see if I can share it from Twitter.
Yeah, do that. That would be great.
Let me see. God. All right, tell me if you can hear this. Hopefully you can hear this.
Lifetime occurrence. I don't know that I agree with you to be fair, with all due respect. One doesn't have to be brilliant to attempt a coup.
I disagree with that. As somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat here, but you know, other places, it took a lot of work, and that's not what he did. It was just stumbling around from one idea to another. Ultimately, he did unleash the rioters at the Capitol. As
he goes on, like his whole point is that. You know, like because they're talking about the January 6th stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you know, like was Trump the master behind the you know what happened on January 6th, and like did he direct the rioters or whatever? And John Bolton's like, no, he's you know, he didn't work that way. He just kind of like going with the moment and like wasn't planning anything. Just he kind of implies he's too stupid to plan a coup.
I'm pretty sure he's asking everybody to infer that he is an intellectual stalwart and that Trump is a total
unlike
moron.
Trump, John Bolton, he's smart enough to plan a coup, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he
and you know, violate international law, and now have a bunch of people saying like, hey, you said you didn't do that. Now, does anyone believe that? No, like, no, not at all. Like we got involved in Iran a couple times.
Yeah.
You know.
So I got a question for you. Do you know why coups in the United States are fairly uncommon, depending on how you want to define January 6th, which I don't want to define that as a coup.
I mean, probably like our relatively stable election systems. I mean, not always, but
Yeah, well, it's because there's no U.S. embassies in the United States. Bam!
Oh, I know. I should have known there's a joke coming.
Yeah, I set that one up nicely. That was
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I ripped off that joke from Al Jazeera.
Yeah. Boom. Well, good. I'm glad you gave credit at least.
Mhm.
That's they they deserve that over there.
Thank you, brother.
But anyhow, with I don't know what kills me about this actually is in part that like there are situations where there really are like folks who are like in the street trying to fight for a better government, and sometimes the U.S. does get involved. They do have people on the ground and they're messing with stuff and trying to move things on in their own way. And then other times, like there really isn't anything going on. They're just trying to challenge the government. They're not being like directed by American advisors at all.
Yeah.
Like most of the time when it's an American backed coup, like there's like weapons involved most of the time. And like, oh, suddenly, like, were they involved in some of the Central American coups? Yeah, probably. Like almost certainly.
And Bolton was openly supporting a coup d'etat in Venezuela, because he felt Hugo Chavez was illegally elected. But we didn't.
What kills me about that is that, again, there was a legitimate like movement who's trying to get this guy out, and now all the left is like, oh, all those people protesting in the streets, they're just American AstroTurf like folks. Are like, come on, like they really do want to overthrow this brutal communist dictator who ruined their economy, and now and we gotta like
put everybody on a diet.
Yeah, jeez, dark. But now that he's gone and said stuff like that, he said the quiet part out loud. And again, him saying it isn't the worst part. Him participating is the worst part, to be clear.
All I could say is I simply love the man now more than ever for his honesty, Kevin. That's a reality.
No, it's no. That makes me again. One of the moments where I'm glad like Rand Paul was, itching to block that guy if he ended up ever getting the Secretary of State nomination.
Yeah.
Like anyone who's like brazen enough to think they could just go on CNN and like talk about like messing with other people's governments, like ridiculous.
Yeah, look, Rand Paul's one of the very few good guys in the U.S. government. He's not always perfect. Sometimes he showboats, but like he blocks funding to the Ukraine because he wants an oversight committee installed to supervise the distribution of $40 billion.
Tim,
and then
it's because he loves Putin.
Like he's a psychopath for that. Like,
he loves
what
Putin.
Kind of horseshit is
that's
that?
all it is that like he loves the Russian government. There's no other explanation.
He's doing it for Russia. He wants an oversight committee of our imaginary fiat currency being distributed to Ukraine. Lethal aid, $40 billion worth of lethal aid, guys. That's substantial. Okay, that's
a lot of money.
That's a lot of planes. That's a lot of ammo. That's a lot of guns. Okay, and he wants an oversight committee to make sure.
Of course, like at the very least, we should know what happens to it, because gosh, how many billions and billions of dollars did we lose in Afghanistan because we delivered a literal crate full of money and some corrupt government official just walked off with it? Like what?
That happened. There's so much more that's happened. And look, like some of our stuff, ended up like on eBay and shit like that. Like some of our Stinger missiles.
Well, like we should watch it. It's reasonable. Again, and I say this as someone who's like fairly sympathetic to like the Ukrainians and trying to defend their home territory and all that, but also like that's a lot of money. And if we are going to send that money, we better know what happens to it.
Yeah. We wouldn't it be the least amount, like with the history of corruption, whether you want to come down on the side of Biden or Trump or whatever, I think that Ukraine has been a cesspool of corruption with mishandling of money, with strange like quid pro quos. I know that was a favorite thing for people to be saying for a long time ago, like for a while in like 2018, like the quid pro quo, whatever, because it's like a buzzword earworm kind of thing. But there was quid pro quos going all over the place.
Yeah, like it happened. I mean, again, like part of the reason like Zelensky got elected too is like he was talking about the corruption over there, and it didn't totally disappear with that guy. You know, there's still corruption going on happening, and he was kind of caught up in like, you know, the stuff with Trump calling him up and be like, hey, listen, go investigate Biden.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. That was kind of funny. I mean, should we have investigated Biden? And look, guys, here's the thing: what Biden did. Technically, a lot of it was legal. Even what Hunter Biden does, as dirty and as corrupt as it is to influence and purchase legislation and to distribute foreign aid and to take money for that activity to make legislators aware that these people want money. Okay. As corrupt, it's completely effing legal. Okay. It's still corruption. It's still bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's
again,
legal.
To everyone listening out there, Tim's not saying like just because it's legal, that doesn't make it okay. Like people forget that like distinction. Like just because it's legal doesn't mean it's okay, and just because it's not legal does not necessarily mean like it's inherently bad either. They're
right. Like it's illegal to grow too much of your own weed, which is a pile of horseshit. It's illegal to make too much of your own booze, another pile of nonsense. Okay, like these things are like things that are legal, things that are corrupt.
They make a bunch of your own booze. You just got to make sure you give Uncle Sam a cut.
You do have to do that, man, and you got to be big enough to make sure that they get their payments regularly. That's how they do it.
It's important. Otherwise, they're going to come bust your kneecaps. That's what happens.
They'll take everything you own. They won't even they'll try not to bust your kneecaps in the process, but if they got to bust your kneecaps, they're going to bust your kneecaps. If they got to throw you in a cage, they're going to throw you in a cage. That's it.
That's how it goes.
Disagree with them.
Hey, let's get to some of these comments though.
Yeah.
Ryan Bedford says, "What's up, fellas? Got my parents listening in town from Tennessee. Cool. Glad everyone's listening.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, welcome to the show, folks." Stephen McGrath just saying hi to us. Hi, Stephen. Thanks for being on.
What's up, Steve?
John Thuman says, "Rand voted for Sessions and DeVos. He is not Ron." No, he's not Ron in a bunch of ways. And Ron, you know, he had his own.
I'm not sure Ron was Ron though. Ron was he was pretty decent at bringing home the bacon when he was senator, bro.
Yeah, he did love his pork barrel spending.
He was good at it, man. He was
man. He brought it like, and his justification was like, "Look, man, that money's gonna go somewhere. Might as well go to my district." And then Ron again. There's a lot of things I like about Ron Paul. I kind of became libertarian in part because of Ron Paul. But also like he did vote for the first authorization of use of military force too, and going into Afghanistan that was a mistake.
He hated Edward Snowden, man. He was all over that guy. He was like, that guy needs to be in prison, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe it was Snowden. Snowden went first.
Snowden? Yeah.
And Rand was all over him because Snowden told the truth about what the Patriot Act really was doing. And Rand savaged him. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, again,
I was disappointed.
I'm not here. We're not here to bash on the Pauls. Like
they're among the best that we have. So
they're definitely. I mean, we're setting the bar super low here, but like better than most members of Congress.
Yeah.
Either were or currently are in the Senate.
But
Tom Queter says, "Wait, are you trying to tell us the U.S. government wastes their tax dollars?"
They do.
It's shocking.
Shocking.
But hate to say it, but it does happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it happens again. I don't know. What John Bolton do in Ukraine too? What did he do?
I don't know.
Involved in that?
He's very helpful. He's really smart. That's all I know about him right now.
Smarter than Trump. He could plan a coup.
He could plan a coup. He could plan several coups. And look, these guys are. But I think we get a glimpse into what kind of people really are governing us when Bolton says he's not smart enough to do that, but I am. Like, it reeks of arrogance. It reeks of narcissism. And like he had to say it, right? I don't know. That dude's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. All right. We want to move on to one of our other topics here on the list.
Yeah, but let's work through one or two more
Okay, we'll get a
comments.
few more. All right.
Yeah, and so this is it, it
Yeah,
makes a
everybody
point.
is.
Okay, weapons are weapons, man, and we're gonna get
Yeah.
to a discussion about that Japanese assassination and how creative people can get with weapons.
Yeah.
But this is like Brian, and I'm sure you understand. It's like a serious subject. A young man died that was in the prime of his racing career. It's sad, and it's also accurate. Like if he had been able and prepared to defend himself, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But who knows? How much money? Billions. That's that. With our, it's all imaginary money. So when we make this argument, I like this argument. It makes a point, but also they'll just print it and spend it anyway. So I'm not sure. Like this argument is like they'll steal it from you from inflation, they'll steal it from you in taxes, and then they will just print it and devalue it. So they do all sorts of wonderful things, and they will steal your farm. They will even at the lowest levels of government. There's corruption and abuses of power.
Yeah.
And yes, wait, we answered this one, but yes. Hi, Ryan's mom. How are you?
Thanks for listening.
And we probably shouldn't read this one, but it's okay if we put it up on the screen, right?
Oh my goodness.
No more.
I mean, we're not on the radio show, and I think you've already dropped a few profanities in here. So just I'll put I'll Tim. Now I'm gonna have to add in front of the podcast. Be like, oh, there's some profanities in this one.
Imagine that. There is actually. I did. I got kind of loose lips. My apologies, everybody.
There we go. It's all right.
They virtue signal, right? Everything they do is they do it to signal their virtue and to enrage us.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bud. I'll
well, okay. So like we'd kind of start talking about like the knife thing with the NASCAR. I don't know much about that story, but this kind of relate to, as you said, the former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe getting shot and killed. He was assassinated in Japan. He what's odd and kind of newsworthy about that, besides the assassination itself, is that guns are essentially banned in Japan. Like it is almost impossible to get a firearm legally over there. And they're able to enforce it. Again, they're an island that historically hasn't had like all that many guns outside of like the military owning them.
Yeah.
And so they're just not there. Like in the same way, it is so different from the American situation. They have virtually no guns, and then this still happened. And like the thing that he got shot with was like basically pipes with like wires attached to it, as like just a homemade jerry rig shotgun. Deal.
Duct tape, right? I mean, there was some duct tape there. It was, and look, this. I'm going to use this to lecture about how the media goes out of its way to excite us, entice us, and enrage us, because we've got people saying he was a left-wing zealot, and it has to do with the church, and it's like, so the smear campaign and the dishonest reporting goes on. Like, okay, like the kid is broken, all right, like what he did. It's evil, okay, but like we try to point fingers at these things, and we do it to get each other upset, and that bothers me. What do you think about that? I'm the healer. I'm the healer today. I'm gonna make everybody feel better about
with
themselves.
this again, I don't know what exactly happened with this and why this guy felt like he needed to kill the former prime minister for whatever reason. Again, I don't know. Like there seems to be a bunch of speculation still about like exactly why this person acted the way he did, but I don't know. It's like to me, it's just it's interesting again to see people try to apply like policy lessons with Japan versus us, because that's kind of where my head goes with this too, right? It's like people are like, oh, see, like this is actually a policy success because like look how few gun deaths they have in Japan. They do have other violent crime. It is lower than the U.S.
They seem to regularly assassinate leaders and former leaders and popular political figures.
And the thing is like, again, no matter how much you regulate guns, no matter how banned they are, people who are determined to act with violent intent can find a way to do it. There are stabbings, there are shootings, there are bombings, there are ways to do it. Again, maybe it's harder, and people can use that to try to justify to themselves why taking away someone's right to self-defense is worthwhile, but bad people still find a way to hurt others if they can. All it does is make it more uneven. The state has all the power and the criminals have all the power in those situations. And then people who are, either ill or determined can still find a way to hurt people if they want.
That's the issue, and that's why the issue of self-defense and your access to weapons of self that will make for effective self-defense you're right. It's and let's not underplay the tendency of governments to become tyrannical. Like these are the reasons why the Second Amendment exists, and that's real. Like,
yeah, it's part of it. Let's get to Ryan's comment said, what percentage of mass shootings in gun ban zone compared to concealed carry zones? I have no idea.
It's 100%.
It's not 100%. It's not 100%.
Of successful mass shootings.
I mean, they're ones like the mass shooting that happened in at the Tops in Buffalo. It wasn't technically like a gun-free zone as far as
Correct.
I know.
I see what you're saying.
But it is restricted. Right. Yeah,
I got
the thing is like at least the way I read this again, like it's like, do more shootings happen in gun-free zones if you create a soft target where people are defenseless? Does that matter?
True.
And the answer is like, yeah, that could matter, but it's not the only factor.
Right. My thoughts went to that Texas church, and then around the same time there was another one where somebody entered a populated facility and was instantly put down. And recently, I think in New York City as well, there was a guy shooting and a lady took him out. So but
there's West Virginia was one of them recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I think that the better point to be had out of this comment from Ryan is that these gun-free zones, places where guns are banned, do not necessarily prevent a mass shooting from happening. Again, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but they definitely don't prevent it from happening. And again, it's the state is not 100% capable of stopping violence from happening. It's just a matter of
that's real. It's sad and it's real, bro. Like you are getting robbed or beaten or raped, and then you still have to deal with a police response time. I want everybody who wants to defend themselves to be able to defend themselves. That's it.
Yeah. No, 100%. And it's going to be a mess in New York.
It's going to be a mess. There's already lawsuits filed based on the success of the recent lawsuit. I want to give credit to the people that did it. New York Rifle and Pistol Association.
Yeah.
Purportedly, maybe they had some help from the NRA, but I don't know. I rely on these. I believe in 2ANY and groups like that to get effective policies and legislation and appropriate legal defense for people. Like they're much better at it than the NRA. Your NRA rated, highly rated senators just recently passed national red flag laws. And here we go, guys. Like, congratulations, the NRA has a lot of money. And they spend it on themselves. So there.
Yeah. No, Tim, that's not fair. They also give it to pro-gun control members of Congress too. That's
true. I forgot about that.
Some of it. Let's not forget about them.
Let's not forget about. And they rate a guy like Thomas Massey. They give him like an F for his positions on gun ownership because he is a very pro Second Amendment. House of Representatives guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very. And they rate him so low, it's ridiculous.
And then they do stupid stuff where like they just won't rate libertarians too. They won't rate the third party in the race.
We'd be off the chart.
Okay.
man. They can't.
Yeah, I get it. Like you want to give like the Republican who bans assault weapons like an A or A minus, but like you won't even like talk to me. You won't rate me. Come on.
No,
that drove me nuts when I ran for Congress. The Republican candidate who is like pro gun control and a bunch of stuff. And at the local,
he is.
Yeah, and the guy who was running, like he got the support of all the local gun groups. I'm like, dude, what? Why? What? Like, oh, the Democrat might be worse. I'm like, this guy's saying the same thing. What are we talking about?
Oh my God, this is the best phenomena to talk about. We should talk about this every single show. This phenomena in society that, okay, he might be slightly less than the clown we already have, slightly less worse than the clown we already have in office, but like at least he won't be quite as bad.
Yeah,
like
that was the argument. That was
like it's still horrible.
Like all the like scope people were doing that to me. They're like, oh, but I know he said that he wants, he says he supports Second Amendment, and I'm like, no, but he says I support Second Amendment, but I believe in reasonable gun control, like banning assault weapons and red flag laws and blah blah blah. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. And he's like, yeah, but he's gonna be better than Joe Morelli. I'm like, barely. Come on.
Barely, it's like the same thing. Now, I think Langworthy himself is trying to primary a pro gun control Republican, and it may be out in your area.
Well, oh yeah. So Langworthy's running in I think it's still 2023. But that race, is that the one where Carl Palladino is going to jump into?
Oh, maybe.
And then like Tom Reed is like leaving.
Okay.
I
thought it was the guy that you just mentioned, that Chris something, whatever.
Carl Palladino.
No, the pro two-way, the anti two-way Republican in Western New York. I'm trying to think.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's not Western New York. Maybe it's Central, but it's something.
That guy? Now I'm getting my candidates mixed up.
Me too. Sorry, guys.
Well, all the districts are goofy now too, because my district essentially stays the same. Joe Morelli's probably gonna get reelected. There's a Republican dude running, Laurent Singletary. Then below me is like now Claudia Tenney is gonna try to run on the Republican line, even though she used to be my congresswoman for a while back when I lived in Utica, Rome / Auburn. And then there's another dude run against her who, they're bad in different ways. At least from a libertarian perspective. And then I have no idea who the Democrats running. And that is Chris Jacobs is the one we're thinking of in the other districts, or the Western New York one. Yeah,
that's the name that I.
So that might have been the one you're thinking of. So yeah, Chris Jacobs, because I was thinking he was running in Tom Reed's old district, but again, everything's kind of getting mixed up now anyway.
Yeah.
So that's
my district's pretty mixed up too, but I do want to give a shout out. Some of my friends have been asking me to check this person out. But there's this Terry Bernardino out of Ulster County who's running for the Senate District 51. She's primarying the existing Senator Peter Oberacker, who has made some pretty substantial discussions about being comfortable with increasing gun control, gun regulations, and she is coming up to Otsego County, confronting him in his home court. And so that's how we pull for freedom in an unfree society, at least. She has taken a pretty strong pro-Second Amendment step for the very moderate Republicans in New York State. So she's I want to see her do well. I want to see her beat Peter Oberacker, or at least pull him more towards freedom, because he's a participatory in the system Republican. That doesn't mean he's not a nice guy. That doesn't mean he's a horrible human being. But I'm telling you, we need better fighting. We need better pulling, and we need better discussions about liberty, guys. That's absolutely real. Yeah.
And I did look up. So just because I was trying to figure out like where the heck is Nick Langworthy running? Who's the guy who's the New York State Republican chair? It is the new 23rd district. It was Chris Jacobs running there, but he isn't running because he did have some anti 2A positions too that he was getting roasted for. Dwayne did mention. Dwayne kind of warned our buddy Dwayne did kind of warn that might happen. Might not be the most pro self-defense candidate out there. But so Langworthy, who's interesting, and then Carl Palladino, who is, I don't know if you followed him much. He's wild. Yeah.
He's an interesting dude.
Yeah.
I remember when he threatened to smack a reporter right in the face.
Oh, yeah, I got to meet him a couple times. The first conversation I had with him was about how he thought he was going on about. It was weird. This wasn't like a public speech or anything. But he was going on about how like we need to like lock people up more and force them to brush their teeth every day. Like he sounded like, I'm not kidding, like sound like Vermin Supreme. And he's like, yeah, no,
Really?
it's just like criminals, they just don't have hygiene, so we're gonna force them to brush their teeth. And I'm like,
I
sorry,
love
what?
it.
Like,
I
yeah.
love
Listen, we're gonna like that. We just gotta teach them, and we do that, and then that's gonna solve our crime problem. Like,
and
so
they
what
should
in the
be
Vermin
forced to make
Supreme are you
hand
talking about, man?
sanitizer and use it every day.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like that was weird. That was like back in
Crazy
2010.
people
Though.
end
That was
up
a
with
while
lots
ago.
of
And again,
money,
he was just like
lots.
talking with a small group of people. I don't even know if he was like serious or not.
You want to think that that's a joke on some level, but people
Yeah.
get some crazy ideas, man.
Yeah, it was a weird conversation. I don't know.
I honestly, I wish I was there. I would
Yeah,
have loved to have experienced that firsthand because I would get miles and miles of humor out of that.
Yeah, that was like 2010. It was like when the first Tea Party, like when the Tea Party thing was getting up. I was like 19, still in college, and I was writing an article about like the Tea Party protest for my college newspaper. And it was in Rome, New York, and he was on tour when he was running for governor, or running in the primary still at that point.
Okay,
but
right.
Yeah. Anyhow,
so we covered the Shinzo Abe deal and the fact that Otoya Yamaguchi is the last guy to have killed a Japanese politician, and he did it with a knife.
Yeah.
So determination. They've killed more politicians in Japan than we have, and one was a homemade gun and one was a sword. Man, that's how they did it.
It does happen. That's political violence is just a reality everywhere. Sometimes it's you can't fully stop it.
No. Did we want to talk about? Guys, we're still experiencing record rates of inflation.
Yeah.
I have an interesting take on it from none other than Robert Reich, the tiny little fascist who makes stupid videos about garbage issues where he just makes things up. But I'm gonna he starts with an introduction when he's talking about inflation. The underlying problem is not inflation. It's corporate power. The entire American economy is concentrated into the hands of a few greedy corporate giants with the power to raise prices. So I'm going to start with this, Kevin, and I just want to baffle everybody for a second. I don't entirely disagree with that statement because I'm a left-wing psychopath.
Okay. All right. Do you continue?
All right. So when I travel down this road, Robert Reich comes up with the dumbest juxtapositions that I've ever seen any politician come up with to try to prove dumb points that don't make any sense. But there is a decent amount of corporate power concentrated in the hands of a few wealthy elites. And guys, guess how they got there? They bought the absolute best fucking regulations money can buy from clowns and jokers who want to get reelected. That's the real story. Now, is that what caused inflation? Does it contribute to inflation? Probably on some level it does, especially in gas distributorships. But what really contributes to inflation is devaluation of the money, supply shocks, and the fear of future supply not coming online. And we've had all of those things.
Yeah, that's a whole bunch of stuff. I did covered a bunch of those topics on Wednesday, and I feel like the Biden administration and other folks like who are trying to make excuses for inflation right now because of an election coming up, they kind of write off like especially the supply side as like, oh well, like that's totally out of our control. It's not out of the government's control. There's all these barriers that make it harder to import goods, make it harder to produce goods, make it harder to transport goods, and all those factors make things more expensive that then have ripple effects to the economy and make everything more expensive. And again, it is also 100% caused in large part by massive reckless spending that's happened over the last 3 years as well. When you have an economy where a whole bunch of money is dumped in and there's not many places for it to go, you have more demand than supply. What's going to happen? Prices are going to go up.
It is, and we increased all sorts of like regulations on ports in California where a lot of our imports come through. So things slowed down there, and we increased prices of offloading a ship, and we changed the number of trucks that can go in and out of there in a day, and we forced a lot of California-based trucking companies to upgrade their fleet to new greener vehicles. Now, I get the virtue behind that, okay? I don't necessarily agree with it either, but I get at least you're trying something because you think you can save the economy by screwing middle class America. But so though all of those things happened, all of it is government malfeasance, incompetence, and like poor management. And so here we are, guys. Like, yeah, thank you. Spitting fire.
Ryan
All
says,
right.
my man Tim spitting fire.
I think it's because I'm swearing a lot tonight.
Yes. On a roll. But yeah, no, 100% on all that though. It's again, I did a whole show on this Wednesday, but yeah, I don't know if you had anything else to add on this other than
Well,
again, like I don't know what to do about it either, because like this, there's so many factors, most of which have to be changed by government authorities that are. It's not that they're totally unaccountable, but they don't care about my opinion.
They do not care. So there's ways that holes occasionally get punched in things, like how Uber became the largest provider of transportation on planet Earth, and how Airbnb became the largest provider of accommodations. All right. So hopefully we can see things breaking out for our local farmers, our local like producers. Although I paid freaking $10 for a dozen ears of corn today. Like, holy cow. Like, because it was a roadside stand and it's early in our area for corn. And the lady assured me that it was the absolute best fresh pick this morning, Central New York sweet corn. And guys, guess what? It actually was. It was really, really good. It was really good. It was among the best corn I've ever had in my entire life. And I'm a corn aficionado.
It's well, it's a little high, but you're right. Maybe it's.
There was a day when you could get a dozen ears of corn for like $3. I don't think it was that long ago.
I mean, you can still do that. Like, I mean, right now, whenever I go to the public market, and we'll see what it is this year, but usually you can find someone to do like $2 for 4 ears of corn. That's usually the lowest you'll get at the public market. But again, they're bringing it all in. Roadside stands. I know when I lived in Utica, Rome area, I lived near those like roadside stands where I could just like drive on my way to school and like hit a stand up and or drive on the way back and hit a stand up. But
I try to stop by those. Like it's cool. The lady was great. That like she even had a little scale to weigh the tomatoes and the cucumbers.
Nice.
Yeah.
But some of those good ones out there, but yeah, again, I don't know what else to. We're kind of on the same wavelength about like, because I thought things like Uber, like, all right, just like break through the system, right? Like, just you're not able to get in into the regulatory framework that like the statists want. You're not purchasing the $1 million medallion, that's keeping the market artificially like scarce and driving up prices. All right, like how can you break through, and are you able to survive long enough before the state goes after you? And the state, I mean by like local, state, and federal government. Are you able to survive long enough for you to build enough customers, build enough love for your brand that like you don't get regulated to death in the first hour of your company?
Yeah, DraftKings had to work it the other way. Like they were here, New York kicked them out, and then they had to figure out a way to pay off the politicians and buy the right laws. And then now they're back. Congratulations, DraftKings. We know what you did. And we know what was for sale there. We get it.
Yeah, no, that's more or less what I suspect happened.
Yeah, it was just
there. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff like that, right? It's like okay, can we innovate our way out of this, through 3D printing, through new software, through just new innovative ideas like transporting stuff, like whatever it is, I've kind of just got to hope that like there are those entrepreneurs out there who aren't terrified enough of the wrath of the regulators to go and be bold and to move fast and break things.
Yeah, you're making a powerful point there, right? Even the existence of these laws in some nebulous, tenuous fashion will slow down innovation, right? Because that's awful close to what the taxi cab companies are doing. Maybe I better not get involved in that, or they're going to take everything I own and smash it into little pieces and lock me in a cage. So I get it. Our current governing system is I don't know, a terrorist organization. Let's see, what would our buddy Dwayne Whitmer call him? He a cabal of criminals and crooks.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, all right. So anyway, I know we thought maybe we were going to talk about the Uvalde thing. I don't know that stuff. I don't know if I want to go into that. I might do that for tomorrow's show.
You should.
It's a
we
heavier
should talk about it. A body cam footage just got released, and guys, the story keeps the story. If you didn't think it could devolve even more, you can check the body cam footage. This story is devolving rapidly. Every single one of their first statements has been proven to be false, and it's a real shame. It's a real shame.
Yeah, no, it's infuriating at like how cowardly and deceitful the police department was in this situation.
Yeah, shout out to the Gastonia Police Department for continuing to suppress a video that would supposedly absolve their officers of charges of claims of misbehavior and of killing a dog unnecessarily.
Oh yeah. No, that's a good point. I might talk about that too. Yeah. And then a Rochester-based incident too, where a cop gets mad because an EMT opens the door, hits a police car who's in an ambulance bay, and then like arrests an EMT as she's trying to like get a patient in the hospital in the Rochester area.
I think Kevin
denting his car. He wasn't even really supposed to be there.
I think Kevin, we can show the people.
Oh yeah. Video. No, go ahead and share that one again. I'm going to talk about this like tomorrow for sure, but like.
All right, so I'm going to take it back to the beginning. And guys, you should watch this if you're still with us. And look, I know libertarians get a kind of a rap for being anti-cop, but we're not so much anti-cop because but we're anti this cop. Like, look at this. This is an EMT trying to do her job. She may have dinged his car with her door. That I think is the purported thing. She refused to show ID because she had a patient in need, which is her job and I think legally a pretty high calling. Okay. But she was released, not charged. And now this guy is on administrative desk duty pending a further investigation. But there's the video, and
I posted a link to all of our channels, so you go check that out. But dude being a total bully, and so this stories like this, just again bum me out because like this is a woman just trying to do her job, trying to like possibly save someone's life. I don't know what the exact story is behind it. We probably won't. But like again, doing her job, trying to get someone in the hospital, and this guy has the gall to be like a bully and to take her away in handcuffs because he got mad because his door was in. Like, where do you think you're at, bro? Like you're in a hospital ambulance bay.
It's really uncool. That over the line. So look, as a shout out to police officers right now in our local area. Now, I know a little bit about it, but I'm not going to give any of the details that I know. But they are in a standoff with a guy. The guy's apparently in a mental health crisis. He has taken aggressive action against the police officers. And it may not be possible. I want this thing to end as peaceably as possible. And I want this person to get the help that they need, because that's what they need. They need help. And so far, they're letting it play out. Okay, they're doing the right thing, and they're on the job 24 hours straight now. So like that's a shout out to police officers. That's respect for police officers. They're doing the right thing, and I want it to end the best way possible for everybody, and that's with this guy getting some help. All right, thanks, Mark. They got him. Okay, good. Whoops, thank you.
We're both trying to click on the thing.
All right, thanks, brother. We both tried to put that up at the same time. That's good news. Hopefully, he turned himself in peaceably. Hopefully, whatever. At that point, if that guy gets injured, that guy gets injured. He acted aggressively in an inappropriate way. Okay, good. All right. So that's good news, guys. That's breaking news right here. Our local situation resolved itself peacefully. I do have access maybe to information, but I also respect the people's privacy that are giving it to me. And we'll go from there. Maybe we'll talk more about it on Thursday. But these situations, I'm going to automatically already point my angry finger at the government response to COVID for breaking another human being's life in New York State. So that's where I'm at. I'm sure it's got something to do with that.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it next week. But all right. So should we do the fake news stuff now? I got a bunch of it. Like,
okay, let me start with I posted on my page and it's popping off great. People love.
All right. Yes.
Like
yes.
right?
Dude,
all right.
We'll do that.
Urban camping, Kevin, is the wave of the future. Basically, let me see if I can share this screenshot of this because this is epic. All right. Let me try to share the screen of this because it's hilarious.
Yeah, and what once you do, remember you got to describe. We put this as a podcast too, so you got to tell folks what's happening.
Correct. All right. So what we've got going on is the city of River City, California. Whoops. And that is not how you share a screen, but look at that. That's pretty epic. That's like one of those mirror against mirror things. I love that. Basically what we've got going on, guys, is a tent city by the side of a river, and we have this River City, California Police Department complimenting the urban campers enjoying the river in beautiful downtown River City, California. It's an epic picture. It does point its finger at the ugly side of the homeless population because it's really like dirty, disintegrating, but it's not actually an urban campground, guys. And so what it is a film of what it is a picture of Seattle, Washington, and I guess under every overpass out in the West, there's basically little tent cities popping up all over the place. And guys, I'm going to talk about economics on that. Federal money is granted by population, right? So one of the cheapest ways to make a profit on for local governments and state governments to make a profit is to like get homeless people in their area, because then they can get all this money to provide services for the homeless without actually having to provide any homes for the homeless. So it would be slightly better to be homeless in Seattle, Washington, than it would be to be homeless in Maryland, New York, for example. Okay, because there's services there to serve homeless. That's going to create, in a sense, incentivize homelessness, and it's a bizarre, like,
there's there's like a name for this type of thing, right? Where like again, when you create all the incentives to not solve the problem,
correct,
the problem happens to not get solved.
Imagine that, right? It's an economic reality. Homelessness is incentivized, and you guys wonder why Nancy Pelosi's district has such a high rate of homelessness, and she gets successfully reelected, is because she brings home the bacon to her local constituents who make money off of these government programs. And so the River City, California Police Department, I think, is in fact a satire page. Okay. Yeah. And it was just so well done. I had to share it to my regular page, and I don't know, I was enjoying it. People first of all are very upset about homelessness and the detrimental, degrading effects it's having on urban life, I guess. Let's call it that way. Let's put it that way. And so whoops, I did it. There we go. So guys, there's the picture I shared. It's totally fake news. But it did start a great discussion about how things are going on. And
I don't know. We could probably solve some of those homelessness issues if we abolish zoning. I'm just saying.
Listen, that's a real issue, and people might not grab that right off the top of the bat. That zoning, poor city planning, zoning, and regulation.
I'm like
create this shit.
Yeah, to be clear, like I'm being like a little dramatic. I'm not totally kidding, but yeah, like, but for real, like if you made it easier to build houses in some places, like particularly California, like it's just so hard to build anything that the prices end up going sky high, and that's part of what creates inflation too. It's happening in Rochester right now as well. Like we have nothing getting built, and that's why Rochester is the 7th most competitive rental market in the country. which is it's wild to me because like I don't know how many people are clamoring to move to Rochester, but it's hard to get a house here.
Yeah.
Because stuff doesn't get built.
Even
and what happens when some folks like just can't break into the market, there's nothing affordable, the prices of what is available go up and the quality goes down.
Absolutely.
You get more homelessness.
So check it out. We basically standardized the code to office procedures in simple, small Oneonta, New York, that basically eliminated the possibility that an owner-occupied rental would be comfortable, safe for both the tenant and the owner, where they could create a deal between the two of them. So owner-occupied rentals went away. And so now we're left with people that will only rent to Airbnb and to students, because at least there's a chance that they're going to make money. You used to be able to subsidize your income by renting out a room, stuff like that. None of that anymore, because number one, you get a crazy person in your house, they're staying, okay? And they're going to ruin your life, and the law is going to support them to the best of its ability. And that's a problem. So we ruined it, and we created this big hole for Airbnb and student rentals. And none of these jokers understand that when I explain it to them over and over again, but I keep trying.
Again, like Airbnb is great in its own, but like in its own right.
Yeah,
but
it
like,
is.
but like, why do you have so much of that popping up compared to people just renting out their rooms and renting out their houses? Well, because you made it too difficult to do that. Airbnb is like
so
simpler,
man, and it's scary. It's scary.
Yeah, you got a little more protection.
Yes,
but
yeah.
So
Airbnb gets the money ahead of time, man. If your place is what you say it is, you're getting your money. The money is in an account waiting for you to get it. If your place is garbage, they can leave and get their money back, and that's your problem. But
yeah,
I did some Airbnb rentals. Always got my money. Always. There was never an issue. I delivered what I said I would deliver and a little extra, because I knew that would be a working business model.
Yeah, 100%. So listen, I I know folks are excited. I'm Ryan.
We got to figure that out, though. We should
glad.
call it.
No, we need to figure out a way. There's like sort of a way to do it, but it's like complicated through StreamYard. We need to figure out like a phone.
But God, that would be fun. That would be fun. The
So,
comments,
like if you want a question, like type it in the comments. Like for now.
But we should figure it out.
But yeah, I want to figure out a way for folks to be able to call in. Like at the radio shows, when I'm on Monday and Wednesday and Larry's on Tuesday, you can call in because the feed's running through the station.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to call in this week for both you guys, just to say something stupid.
Oh, great! No, love it.
From Connecticut.
Out in Connecticut.
Yeah, West Hartford, the murder capital.
Right. Guess I'll take an out-of-state call. Whatever,
Yeah. You're like, Tim's calling in from Connecticut. Nope, we only take New York calls.
Tim from Connecticut. No, get him off. Bob, get him off.
Bob might even be happy to hear from me. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, I'm glad. Listen, I'm glad you're excited. If you can manage to type the comment in, like we'd love to hear, Ryan, what you and your mom have to say. Just yeah, we don't really have a way to call in right now. We'll figure it out though. Like that's good motivation. If there's something folks want, then we'll try. It could be fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after besides the zoning reform stuff, let's see what else I got. So I got a few fake news items. I decided not to use the John Bolton thing for the fake news item. It's like, no, let's just talk about this because it's so ridiculous. And all right, we'll get to this question. That was Ryan says, "Mom wants to know what we could do about the Department of Education changing history with our kids. Homeschool? I mean,
yeah, homeschool.
Well, and just educate kids. That's part of it. Again, you.
So,
go ahead, Tim.
I like talking with my kids about history, right? And
yeah.
But if you get too authoritarian when you're talking to your kids about history, they just think you're the grumpy old guy rambling on about nonsense. So you got to kind of engage them in a conversation, and you got to kind of say, well, I kind of remember the story going this way. And look, there's two sides to every history subject that you're working with. And history is, in fact, written by the winners most of the time. So you have to always take into account, like, and I pretty much try pretty hard to steer them towards libertarian philosophy, and that some of these problems that we've experienced as a society, had the government been less powerful, we would not have experienced them. I use income tax because that's a good one. My kids are kind of bumping up against income tax right now, and I'm like, that progressive clown Kevin's grandfather, great grandfather, started the
Not
income
true.
tax to
Fake
fund
news.
our entry into World War I. You know, like maybe not exactly, but that's what we should look at it as. It was a way to collect money from peasants to buy guns for the government. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So, you know. And so I have those conversations with them. Sometimes they think I'm crazy. Sometimes they nod a little bit. And then sometimes I make them laugh. So you got to counterbalance the education they're getting in school with your memories and stuff you can find on Google about real history, which is out there. Homeschooling is
I know it's not for everyone.
COVID did one good thing, man. People are
a lot of folks are doing it though.
Yeah, they're stepping outside.
Yeah, and again, that's the direction that we're leaning with my son is like, you know, again, my wife went to a city school, but we're like, no, this stinks. It's you know, especially where I live, it's violent. Like we don't always agree with the curriculum. The curriculum, like even back in my day, you know, which is 2008, it was, you know, like I remember like fighting with my history teacher sometimes because I'd be like, hey, like I know the textbook says this thing and the test says this thing, but like I have this other history book that I found in the library and it says this thing, like, so why is that not true compared to this? And can I write in my essay that like, this is the argument I'm making about, like, you know, it was about like some like ancient European history type of thing. And they're like, well, no, the right answer is the one on the test. What?
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm like, that kind of broke me like that. I'm like, what, how, but like, there's this other evidence here. So like, what's right? Like, and it confused me as a kid. Cause I was a, you know, straight A student. I was like, they're not teaching me the right thing here. Like what's the actual truth? How do I discern the truth with the evidence I had? And like the thing that you have to, this is my mom. I remember you fighting with teachers. Hey, Kevin, well, so proud.
Is it true that Kevin is descended from Woodrow Wilson? That's
no, that is not true. She will confirm that. Yeah, no, like so I'd fight with teacher. I'd fight with like the chemistry teacher too, like who, you know, I liked, but sometimes it would be like, well, the answer is this. I'm like, well, but you said like all this stuff, and shouldn't the answer be this? And she says, well, the test says this, so it's this. Like, and I know that's like the teacher's way of saying like, I don't feel like arguing with you right now, just shut up. But still, like, if you can teach kids to think for themselves, right? Like, because history in particular, right? Like, I had great college professors who are very good at reinforcing that type of ideal, is that history is about building narratives that make sense with the evidence that is available and you know to be true, right? Okay, so find that primary source evidence, find like reliable historical scholars, like and make sure that they're using reliable sources themselves, and then from there try to build an argument about what happened, why it happened, and why it's important. And a lot of history, unfortunately, the curriculum being pushed down from both the Department of Education and New York State and other state, you know, education systems as well, is just, no, this is what happened. Here are the facts. Memorize that. This is the truth.
Yes.
And that history is so much more messy than that. And if you can teach your kids to think freely and to think about like, well, what evidence actually supports this argument, they will be better off in just a ton of ways. Probably not better off for taking the tests.
Right. That's true. The centralized planning and the power that we've granted our educational system is in fact part of the problem, right? Like we have boards of regencies and we have like federal board, you know, the federal program Department of Education, and the nonsense that they want to put everything in a box and say, regurgitate these facts. And some teachers that's all they can do. So that's all you're going to get. The teachers that are good, that would want to have discussions about history and stuff like that, are stifled because they're also forced to put things in a freaking box and force that information down kids' throats because of Common Core and testing standards. And it's like, and it's a catch-22 because some teachers suck and we got no way of getting rid of them, right? Common Core was supposed to provide that, but it doesn't. Okay, they shuffle them to different jobs or make them teach younger kids.
Real quick, like let me give a shot. Like there are some teachers who would like level with us and who would say like, listen, I know there's this other evidence out there like that this might happen, but when we're grading the regents, you've got to fit yourself. You've got to fit your argument into what the state wants. Like,
those are the
like
best.
Just match the system. And like they weren't saying it in a malicious way, like obey or else. They're just like, Look, you want to get good grades and get to a good college, you're gonna have to answer it this way. And you just need to know, like, this is how you navigate the system.
I took advantage of the system a different way, like simplistic memorization of facts and things like that. I was very good at that. So I was very, very good at the standardized Regents tests and very, very good at the SATs and things like that. Like I did really well with that stuff because I was very able to say A is B is C. That's it. I don't need to know anything else. And that's all because I read hundreds of books and I never, ever wanted to get into an argument over like a teacher's presentation. I just wanted to get a good grade on the test, get a good grade on the Regents, and have all the free time in the world that I could come up with.
That's terrible. I want to fight with him about like, no, listen, I got this other thing. And listen, my mom's still coming. Love that you questioned him. Remember, is that a fact or an opinion? I'd fight with my teachers all the time. I was a terror in school. Awesome. And shout out to my parents for like trying to get me to think critically too. So parents and like teachers and other folks like who are just like, okay, like here's how you think outside of like what you're being forced into. So like going back to Ryan's mom's question again, what do we do about that? Again, it's about instilling critical thinking skills. Like, because even if you have kids who go to public schools, kids come out of the public school system like able to think freely, but if they don't have those values like ahead of time, and they don't know, like again, it's a fine line to like decide when it's worthwhile to have that argument and when you just like try to go with the system enough to get through and so you can like build some advantages for yourself, like going to college if that's your thing, like because for some folks that works, other folks maybe that's not your thing, or not the right thing to do. But you got to kind of know when to go with the flow and know when like to challenge the system, but most importantly know when to think critically. And even if you recognize the problematic nature of like the standardized tests that they put out, to know like, okay, this is the answer they want to hear, even if I know that that's not quite right.
Back in the day, there was an actual study that came out, like when in doubt, answer C. That was something our teachers taught us, like on these multiple choice tests. It's something like 67% of the answers are C because they want to carry you to an understanding. So they give you slightly wrong answer A, slightly wrong answer B, because then you have to reject those two things and come up with C. So it works.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so I appreciate the question and, kind of the road that took us down. It's a good topic.
It is. Yeah, that was great. That was an unplanned segment, ladies and gentlemen. I want to be honest with you. That whole discussion of you can go and join your local school board, fight for a spot on that, where you can go in and argue with everybody about how they are, only to find out that you have no real power. But if everybody does it, all of a sudden, maybe we would take some power back to our local school districts. Also, grant money following students could in fact start bringing us to a better educational system that would allow innovation. That would allow
Arizona's doing that,
right? And competition in school.
Yeah. So like Arizona, they're doing kind of the backpack funding model, like you. Yeah, you're not automatically giving money to the school that you are like zoned for, no matter what, and then you have to pay out of pocket for any other education. It's if you want to go to another like school, it still has to meet qualifications in Arizona where they're trying this. But you can just go and that money goes with you.
The boon to densely populated urban areas it would improve schooling in those areas so much. Regionally, in like our small rural communities, it's like, okay, the choice gets compounded. Like, okay, 15 minutes from your house, there's 3 schools. All right. But 15 minutes from my house, there's 0 schools. So you see what I mean? So you're going to go with the school that's 20 minutes away is the school I want my kid to go to. I think but I still think it's a good idea, and still would add a layer of accountability to every administration that is not currently there. They're only accountable to the state now, and they will tell you that every freaking chance they get. Anytime you have a problem with them, So the good administrators make it sound like you are having a say in your kids' education. The really bad administrators say, "This is New York State law. I'm sorry that you're upset." It's like that's it. That's what you get. This is New
So
York
no
State.
sugarcoating it there.
I'm like, "Hey, you're not a lawyer. You don't understand the law." And they're like, "What are you? You're just a stupid old contractor, and you are running your mouth. Get out."
Yeah. All right. So let's see. We got there's a bunch of stories again I missed. I know it's a bit older, but hey, is Ulster County, New York, adopting a new voting sticker? I'm gonna put this on the screen.
Do
Folks
it. Do it. I love this.
Seen this.
Oh my God! Congratulations, Hudson Rowan. 94% of the votes went to this guy. This kid is a budding anarchist. I absolutely love it. There is no doubt. I voted. I love
Oh my gosh, listen.
This kid
Having
is a
open
hero.
polls, it's gonna go there, especially when you have like a ridiculous option. I can't believe this one got included because they clearly like narrowed down the options. These are the finalists. This one got in. I don't know how the first round of voting, but like, of course, when you do this and you don't have any like regional restrictions on
Who can
who
vote?
can participate in this poll, like everyone just piled on.
They needed voter ID for this. That's for sure.
Yeah, right. I love this.
I'm pretty sure this is Spike Cohen endorsed.
Yeah.
This sticker.
No, this sticker makes me very happy.
I'm so proud. Hudson Rowan, congratulations. You have made my anarchist day.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's a real thing though. Again, I don't know if they'll ultimately do it, but
how epic that would they won't. They'll find some way around it. They'll be like, social media, let's burn everybody on social media. Like, they'll come up with that.
I mean, like, I'm sort of like sympathetic to like when like something gains national attention and like you think you're deciding on like, a nice thing for your town or whatever, and then suddenly it blows up. Like it happened to Whitesboro. Like, so like again, I grew up in Oriskany, and Whitesboro is the town next door where actually my dad went to high school, and their logo, it looks like a white guy choking a Native American dude.
That's
the Daily Show caught wind of this. There's a whole national news cycle about this. They entered a bunch of things. Like there are some like legit other good logos that could have made it through, but like the old one ended up winning because they polluted the submissions with a whole bunch of other nonsense. This is in parts of Daily Show coming in and like messing with Whitesboro, New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like they could have had a nice thing. They had a few, but like the internet got involved, the celebrities the national media got involved, and then suddenly everyone's just doing it for the lulz, right?
Yeah.
Which again, I kind of love like the I voted sticker, but like it stuck.
I would
like,
wear that sticker so proudly.
Their logo of it's not really a white guy choking at India. Like that's not what's actually happening. It's supposed to be like
look that way.
It's supposed to be a friendly wrestling match, but it definitely doesn't look. It looks like the founder.
My
of the
kid
town
went to a wrestling tournament this weekend. He did very well. There was no choking. That's against the rules.
Yeah. No, he's not really. It's supposed to be wrestling. That's yeah.
Yeah, no. That's not a move. Choking, like reaching for someone's clavicles is not wrestling.
All right. Well, okay. So I've mentioned this now, so I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna show what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yep. No, it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of.
It does kind of look like a white guy choking an Indian. Yeah.
Yes,
it really does. That is not. Yeah, no, I would vote against that one.
Yeah.
There's actual wrestling stances and wrestling moves. That has none of that. None of it.
Yeah. I think they did end up updating it. So, but that was the old logo. And I'll just show you like the new one. They make it look a little bit more like actual wrestling. Just to round this story out. If I can upload it. So there's a new one.
That is actually that one for me.
Better.
That one is a lot better. That looks,
definitely looks a little friendlier.
yeah,
Or at least, like, I mean, they still kind of look like they're fighting, but like the story is like, they got in a wrestling match and then like agreed to like share the area and whatnot. But
just so everyone knows, like, wrestling was one of the first Olympic sports, and it would help, like, the Olympics helped settle Greece from warring nation states into cooperative nation states. They did it through athletics. It's kind of a cool story. So, it's real. Like, that's real history that I could discern on my own.
All right. So let's get a few quick ones in. So and I'll actually ask you if they're real news or fake news.
All
right. Headline: Nobody likes self-checkout. Real news or fake news?
Is that a real headline? Because that's the question, right?
Is it a real headline? Is it real news? Both. There's two questions.
It's fake news. It's fake news because people do like self-checkout, and it's inevitable that every large store is going to some sort of system of self-checkout completely. There's going to be no cashiers because they still screw up money, and stores can't stand that. So it's a real headline though. Like, nobody likes it.
CNN ran this.
Yeah, of course.
Nobody likes self-checkout. Here's why it's everywhere. And they're like, corporate greed is causing them to make bad decisions that are against their self-interest, and everybody hates it. And I'm like,
corporate greed is so unnuanced, and it's so simplistic, and it's like so emotional. Like, yeah, corporate greed, but like, you remember Gordon Gekko. Greed is good. Like greed makes the world go round, and it's something other than greed. It's success, and it's the future, and it's building a successful business. Corporations have too much power. They work like Walmart, setting up next to trailer parks so that they can pay low wages and make sure that their employees maximize their benefits, from the government. Like, that's kind of garbage. But
that's not
the government made that happen, not Walmart.
Yeah, like they created some bad incentives that companies can easily take advantage of, and then they did. So,
credit farming, man. Like Elon Musk, he's a credit farmer, guys. We can love him. We can think it's funny. We can think he's funny. We can think he's smart, but he farms for government money better than anybody else in the world.
Dude, I was going to put that on our list of things to talk about. I ended up forgetting it. Like Elon Musk stuff. It's all right. Maybe we'll talk about it next week.
All right.
But yeah, no, just on the self-checkout thing, I like it. I get why people don't like it in all situations. Like, sometimes some folks find it difficult, fine, but I love it though. Like, I'm always like, all right, I got like 3 items here, whatever, I boom, 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 do that. If I have like a lot of stuff, or if I'm buying like alcohol sometimes, because like if it's a busy day and I have to have someone check it anyway, I'll go try to find a line, where someone can just check it there. But like, other than that, like, again, they could replace even more at like the stores I shop at, and it'd be great.
You are going multiples, people going through the self-checkouts. It's so much faster.
Yeah.
You don't even, you're getting 8 cashiers in 25 square feet, right?
Yeah. Well, that'd normally be 2 or 3 cashiers. Like, it's,
and slow.
Yeah. And again, as it becomes more normal too, like, people get faster. Like, I remember when it first started happening, like, a lot more. People were slow at it. Sometimes they'd get confused easily, and stuff wouldn't work right. But like, most stores kind of got it down now.
Newsmax, I'd go on. I think they.
You know anyone?
I don't. And so what Newsmax and even Fox News does is give subtle nods to libertarianism, but it's very one-dimensional libertarianism. So.
And just to be clear, for the folks on the podcast, like, Tim's responding to a comment online from Ryan Bedford. Says parents say libertarians need to get on Newsmax. It'd be great. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so basically they want one-dimensional Greg Gutfeld style libertarians, where it's like, I'll call out the government for spending on things I don't like, but like, when it comes to being a religious conservative, I'm still a religious conservative. When it comes to being really, really, really pro 2A, I'm gonna go ahead and equivocate with the Democrats myself on certain things. Okay, so that's where Newsmax may not actually be brave enough to hear from us, right? Like they may not be brave enough to put us on the air.
See.
And we are having some success with some really popular people making a really lot of positive noise. So
Yeah, like
you know,
I mean, Kennedy's show is libertarian already, but Spike Cohen's going on Fox a lot more. And
Yeah.
people like him, like who are interesting, provocative, and have like kind of the clout and connections to be able to get this stuff at this point.
Yeah.
Again, I locally, like I do a bunch of media, like so I'm on like the local like NPR affiliates. I'll occasionally get on like the other conservative station around here. We're on a conservative station. And yeah, but folks like Larry too. Larry is always reaching out to these places. It's just a matter of being interesting and or newsworthy enough to break through and have them put you on and not have it be a joke, to not have like, oh, we got the wacky libertarians on, which I've been the wacky libertarian on the show before too. So you just gotta like, especially when like that's how they frame it, like you gotta really like be prepared to kick butt.
And then they ask those subtle trick questions like, well, without roads, how are you going to get to the grocery store? And it's like, F them hoe ass roads. We need to have a different discussion, man.
That's where you go. That's it's gonna make a great segment.
I'm quoting the great Eric July, who was and my point would be about that joke, okay, is guys, look, roads could be done differently, better, and by smart people, okay, not by petty government bureaucrats who are filled with like the Vogons of freaking America, like petty bureaucrats, tiny tyrants, just like
the Vogons we have to follow the rules. That is a nerdy as heck reference, and I love it.
I told you, I read books, lots of them.
Tim book reader, Tim the book reader O'Connor. The Douglas Adams reference there, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
It is the Hitchhiker's Guide, the complete unabridged version of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Plus, So Long and Thanks for All the Fish and The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul. I have it in an anthology, and I read it periodically because it's literally hilarious and it's easy to read, and it like jumps around from subject to subject, but it bashes everything about our society today, and it was written like 25 years ago. This guy's brilliant.
Yeah, it's excellent.
I think that let me handle this one too. Like conservative parents say Fox is dead. Fox is believe me, they're not dead. They're even Tucker does some libertarian stuff. He's actually more libertarian than like Gutfeld, but he sounds like a libertarian right up until he doesn't sound like a libertarian anymore. And I'm like,
no, so some folks still watch Fox, not their cup of tea, not my cup of tea. But they're like kind of in the conservative movement. There's more alternatives now, right? Like, well, it's just that like it used to be like it's not as dead, but it used to be like this monolith. Like there was nowhere else to get like video news like consistently for so long with like center to like center right perspective. And
correct.
So they're the only game in town. But now you got like Newsmax, you got OAN, you got
right, like it's getting huge.
Yeah. Like I mean, of course you had like magazines and stuff at the time, like 15 years ago or whatever, but like there's so many alternatives out there, Daily Wire type stuff too. So like if you want like Republican news, like you don't have one place to go anymore. So they're not the like the kingmakers that they used to be, but they still got some pull, right? So and again, it's a matter of reaching people wherever you can.
I think that the perception is that Fox slid left, and my perception is that they slid left, but now they're sliding back right. Like
I don't know, like my perception, I don't watch them that much. My perception is they've always kind of been like close to the center. It's just that like there wasn't anything to compare them to.
True.
Right, like or at least not as much to compare them to, and now like there's so many other alternatives out there that you can kind of see. I mean, there's always talk radio too, not always, but like since 70s, 80s.
I like talk radio music if I'm during work hours gives me a headache. So if I'm going to listen to something during work, I'm going to listen to talk radio, discussion of the news. I enjoy Glenn Beck. I really do.
We're talk radio.
I think he's kind of funny. I think he's kind of witty. I think that he also sounds like a libertarian right up until he starts like campaigning for Republican rhino clowns. And
he's not funny. Like there's sometimes like, yeah, all right, man, he's really nailing it, you know that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, what? No, stop. He's got like status. Stop. Go back.
Yeah. Then the conclusion he comes to is like, I'm like, that's freaking communism, bud. Like, what are you talking about? You're talking about like authoritarian garbage, like as an answer to some of the problems that he does such a good job of laying out.
Yeah, so that's what happens. We've got a few more quick fake news items because I know we've gotten out of hand here. But
we're running long too.
Is there a pair of homeowners who are having their house foreclosed upon by their HOA for feeding ducks?
Oh my God. This is real news. Oh wait, no, were they feeding squirrels? Be honest. This is real news. This is a real headline. This is real news.
It is real news. So the Lakeland Community Homeowners Association decided it had enough with the rows feeding the waterfowl, despite what it said were repeated warnings not to.
Oh boy!
So they foreclose. They're trying to foreclose in the house. It probably like. It's one of those things where it doesn't like explicitly violate the homeowners agreement. It's funny. HOAs are, like kind of private organizations, right?
Yeah.
That's but they end up sort of acting like petty little governments in their own right.
The only argument is that everybody agreed to the homeowners association
that's the difference,
terms
right?
and conditions explicitly or implicit, at least explicitly in documents that they signed, and implicitly by signing those documents, they agreed to everything that the homeowner association wants. So
yeah, that's the scary thing is if you move into a house where this HOA sets the rules, you're agreeing to that private organization's rules again, and maybe they have an election structure that seems fair, or maybe it's just a private board or whatever, you're subject to that whim. And in this case, it's they might get out of it. They're trying to sell the house before they get foreclosed on. But at the end of the day, they might lose a bunch just because someone's feeling petty because they fed some ducks.
That's
which I know, like actually I'll say this, living in the city, it drives me bananas when people throw out bread for like birds and like, oh, I'm feeding the birds, whatever. I'm like, get that crap off your lawn. It's attracting rats, you moron.
Call the code enforcement office on him, Kevin.
So I don't want to be that guy. I know, like again, like I because that same thing, right? Like I don't want to be like to go send the petty tyrants after them. And I know like there's neighborhood organizations, they'll do that. Like, like there comes a point when like I might do that if someone's leaving a bunch of like trash out in the yard, but folks leaving bread out in the lawn, I'm just like, can you not like I know you want to like feed the birds and that's cool, but like get a bird feeder. Like just don't throw bread out on your lawn. My dog wants to eat it. A, B, right. You're attracting rats. Knock it off.
Right. I posted a meme on my page and I got some harsh feedback for it. Do you guys want to hear about the meme that I posted?
Sure, Tim.
All right. Did you know that Metallica's Black Album contains 3 subtle nods to libertarianism? The cover depicts the snake from the Gadsden flag. There is a track called Don't Tread on Me. And the whole album is effing garbage. What do you think about that, guys?
Oh, yeah. I mean, as a joke.
I thought it was a great joke. I really did.
Yeah, whatever. I saw that now. Like, that's.
I'm not liking that one.
I'm not gonna like that, but like, I laughed a little. I was like, all right, I get what they're going for. But
Shelly showing up. Hi, Shelly. Thanks for coming in. We ran the show long just so you would have time to make it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Even though actually since you brought up the Metallica thing too, I got another headline. You tell me if it's real news or fake news. Heartwarming. After hearing a teenager sing Metallica on TikTok, Lars Ulrich has reached out to let them know they owe him royalties.
Oh, I actually got to hear that one again, if you don't mind.
So heartwarming. After hearing a teenager sing Metallica on TikTok, Lars Ulrich has reached out to let them know that they owe royalties.
That, in fact, sounds a little Lars Ulrich-y. I own my intellectual property. It does. It sounds like real news.
Sounds like real news. You're calling it real news?
Yeah.
No, it's fake news, but it does sound like real news. I sent it. This is fine. I sent it to my wife. She's like, "Oh my god, is that like I can't believe you do." Like, no, it's a joke.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
It's a joke. Good. Didn't do that, but yeah, it's something we did. Like but the millennials remember downloading stuff from Napster and like, they he went after them.
Yeah.
They're very serious about their IP.
Yeah. Hey, did you talk about the Zeldin fiasco yet on any of your radio shows?
No, I was also saving that for Monday, but yeah,
I think you should.
Kicked off of the ballot. Oh,
you should tune into tomorrow's show and hear the rundown and the breakdown of how Zeldin lost one ballot line. It's kind of epic and it's kind of bad. It's kind of cheesy. Like I tell you guys that they're cheesy, right? That the system is cheesy, that these people are cheesy, that they're broken and they're corrupt, and Kevin is going to provide damning evidence of just such an event.
Well, I won't provide it. I will take the work that the fine folks at the Libertarian Party in New York did in uncovering this and report on it.
Yeah, Andrew Kolsky and guys, Chris Olinsky. They guys, when we argue with each other, we lose sight of certain things. There are people that do things in this party that are important, okay? And we need more of those people. And I do things that I think are important that I have fun with, like talking to my buddy Kevin, okay? Like we're doing things. Politics is a popularity contest, but it takes proactivity. And when we got guys doing the work, we got to prop them up, man. We got to.
Yeah. No, so yeah, definitely want to talk about that for a little bit tomorrow too. So make sure you listen in 1 p.m. to 2 p.m.
All right. Any more fake news?
No.
All right, because I got to get on the road at 4:00 in the morning tomorrow and go to work in Connecticut.
Oh, well, Tim, it's so late now. Just stay up.
Yeah, I'm going to get a couple hours worth of sleep. I'm telling you that right now.
All right. Well, thanks, folks, for listening. Thanks for all the awesome comments.
Yes. It is
shout out to Ryan's parents, too, for listening today. We have a podcast. Plus, you can follow this page if you want to hear more of our stuff. Comment. We do. We should figure out a way to call in.
I know that would be great
on these shows.
It would be, especially these shows, because the radio format is it's too structured for this libertarian. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
And yes, there's a late comment. Alice tried to post it earlier. It's important. Schools used to teach practical skills, and they have moved away from that, and that's a problem.
Don't.
They're moving back towards it though because we keep bitching about it. So that's good.
Don't rely on the state to educate your children about home ec skills. My goodness, I did take home ec in my school, which is interesting, but I was an RA in college, and there are so many kids who get to college, they don't know how, like literally had to do like crash courses on like how do you do laundry.
Wow.
Didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Why weren't you ever doing laundry at home? No. Okay. All right. Gather around, boys. We're going to the laundry room. I'm gonna show you how this works.
You gotta have 4 quarters.
Yeah, exactly. Step 1, get some money.
Get the money. Yeah, no, school used to have some practical applications, and they did away with them. Didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay, if we look at the system of schooling as a system that is supporting higher education then we can see why they would do away with home ec and why they would do away with shop, because those lead to possible trade participation, which they still want tradesmen, but they want them to be college educated from a 4-year school that's state approved, that it participates in the state run system. And it's also one of the reasons why college cost to a student has exploded because of the demand for college has gone way up. Like it's almost like you should go to college. Should I? I don't know. And a lot of kids get persuaded to go to college.
And they know that the federal government will, in most cases, find a way to get kids that money either through grants or loans, so they can charge whatever
they
can charge whatever they want. And I have seen it firsthand.
System on loans is unstoppable, too powerful. You're paying the government back that money they loan you, and your bank benefits. The bank that loaned you that money, the federal government, to get them to loan you that money guarantees that you're going to pay that money back. It's not the federal government guaranteeing that it gets paid back, that they're going to pay it back on your behalf. They are going to take that money from you every single tax return you get, and you're never going to see it. Like, that's how they do it. That's what I don't think people understand. Maybe most people do, but I don't know. I don't feel like people understand what a federally guaranteed student loan is. It's the federal government guaranteeing you're going to be forced to pay that back unless you die.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is.
No, it's pretty close to that. All right. But we'll have to save a deeper discussion on that.
Sorry, you're right.
For another night. So you can get some sleep.
Yes,
All
I appreciate it.
Thanks again, folks, for joining us here on Free Students. So, again, not normally on Sundays. We normally do this on Thursdays. Our hope is that this Thursday, we're gonna make it happen. But I'll be on tomorrow, so make sure you're following at least one of the Free Solution pages, and be there to talk about some police stuff, some election stuff with Lee Zeldin losing that ballot line.
That Lee Zeldin. First of all, he was never going to win, but this news has gone viral, gone national. He's already not going to win. He was never going to win, but now he's even less likely to not win. Wait, no, less likely to win.
Right. All right. Thanks, folks. Have a great night.